this man who had left his wife the money, the wife was dead. He came to queue every Saturday, but the boss were in headquarters were in Perth. So he got stuck into me. What are you Pallottines doing with that money? And he wanted us always to do something in Melbourne, you know. What do you do with 100,000 in Melbourne? Spend it here, there, everywhere, right?
What year was this, Father?
What year?
Yeah.
That was in 86, 87.
So 100,000 was a lot of money back then.
Well, so anyway, I suggested that instead of spending it around Melbourne for, you know, whatever, we got this beautiful property here.
Yeah.
Let's build a holiday house.
Oh.
And the holiday house is just here. Have you seen it?
I haven't been there yet. Yeah.
But when you go up,
yeah.
I tell Pat to just drive in and show you, just to see the place.
Okay.
When you're driving to the college, aren't you?
Yes, we are. We are going afterwards.
Okay.
That's okay.
So anyway, Pat, when you drive, close the door to keep it warm. Close the door.
Oh, yes, certainly.
When you drive up to the college, just go in the drive, Marjorie Maria.
Yeah.
Just outside, so you can see that holiday house, right? And that I had that built. That was my idea. I had that built with that money. I was given $100,000. I made the plan myself, got all the permits, building permits, and so on and so on. And that was opened Christmas '88. I had the first family, a broken up family. A mother with 4 little children. They were the very first. And it was cost-free. All the costs were carried by the Pallottines. All the Pallottines, cost-free. And then all religions, all colours, all whatnot. And I still have friends today who are 70, 60, 70, 80 years, 40 years old, who still became good friends, go and visiting on the telephone from that time, whether they believe it or not. Yes.
But what was the reason for building this home? I mean, was it because...
It was for the have, not a holiday house, for the people who could never afford a holiday.
Ah, I see.
And that's why it was cost-free. The Pallottines, I worked on a yearly budget, yes. And the Pallottines in all those years, and I was running that until about 4 or 5 years ago. Okay. And then it got too much for me, and the college took over, yes.
And Hazel is behind you there to share that picture.
Well, this lady here,
oh, yes.
she was a great friend of the Pallottines. From 1960, she even knew the Pallottines before I came to Australia, right? This lady here.
Hazel.
And she was 31, 32 years old when her husband died of a heart attack. And she had 3 little kids. The oldest was 7, 5, and 2. And not this kid here. So, then they had a big hay and corn store, the biggest business in Blackburn. Right. You know, for all the horses and the chook yards and the hay, corn, every day a whole railway wagon of briquettes delivered to all the hot water. Because all your hot water in those days, before gas, was briquettes, right? The hot water system, which every house had.
Okay.
And that was her business. When her husband died, she ran that for 29 years herself. People employed, trucks, everything. We Pallottines at night time would use their trucks to carry stuff up here over to the old place, right? Remember, Pat?
Yes, right.
And when at 6 o'clock we picked up the truck at Hazel's, had to be back at 8 the next morning. And even just stuff all the tin from Wheel the Wrecker we brought over there, you know, all on Hazel's trucks. And that lady then, so she was, right from the start, she really, the broken up marriage of her son, the 4 kids, the oldest was then 12, 13. she would bring them up for weekends when she was still working. They would sleep on the floor here and she would sleep there. But
in this hut?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, my bedroom is just on the other side of the wall. Right?
Okay.
So all very normal. So anyway, so that's, and then she was right from the start involved with the holiday house. She didn't live here, but when she had still responsibilities at home with the grandchildren and all the rest, and with her business, but when the business finished after 29 years, she would come every Wednesday till Sunday and stay here, usually bring some of the grandchildren along to sleep on the floor. And she was the soul of that apostolate, that lady, right? Jewish, but turned to Catholic from a Jew. Her whole family was Jewish, her ancestry. And she was really, Pat, she was far more important than I.
We're both together.
You can imagine her with the people,
I know, yes.
with the kids, with the women.
Yeah, I know.
See, the people in those days, they slept up there. There's a lovely creek over there. I had the flying fox, a swing, trampoline. Then I built a big barbecue area here. It was 2 barbecues. And sometimes we had busloads of people, just a bus for the day from refugee camps and so on, came to here. Cancer people, Peter McCallum, they sent people up for the last holiday here. Cancer, cystic fibrosis, one family, was 3 kids dying, age 20, 21, people also a bit, you know.
Yes.
So people who would never go anywhere else, who couldn't afford a holiday, right? And they had to, and that went on all this time, all practically all year round, you know. July we closed down; it was too cold here, right?
Yes.
But over all the holidays, Christmas and the school holidays, right through.
Yes.
And that was that work. But the people, practically all the families, because of Hazel, the women, she was her own life experience, you know, losing her husband so young, bringing up 3 kids. And then she got involved, besides her big business, she was very busy with helping. She took one lady in, the parish priest, said to her, can you take this, what was her name, Maggie or what? Now Maggie was about 85, and Father, who was parish priest see, I was in Blackburn when I came out for a whole year, parish priest in Blackburn. The priest went overseas, and Father Ryan. And he said to Hazel, can you take this lady? She lived in an old shack in Nunawading, in the parish of Blackburn. Can you take her for a weekend? She came for the weekend, and she stayed at Hazel's for 7 years and died at Hazel's place. And then she had another bloke, Arthur, and things like that. That was Hazel.
Yes,
a heart of gold. And she was really, of this work here, she was a heart and soul, not me, you know.
So Hazel was a UAC member?
No, she would have been Pallottine.
Pallottine.
But UAC wasn't in then at that time.
No, the UAC didn't come in at all into her life.
I see.
She just was connected with the Pallottines.
I see.
Really. No, with the trucks, and we had loans and whatnot. Yes. But that is her, this little girl, her mother is still in contact with me. She only rang me recently.
Yeah.
She came only a few weeks ago, she and her husband and her kids, the parents. Now, she died about 10, 15 years ago now. That was Abby at the age of 8 of cancer. And when she had cancer, they came for holidays all the time for a year. I had this homemade little caravan, you know, which you might remember, the little caravan I had built and was up there. And this little guy's, when she died, for 3 days, we had the biggest party you've ever seen on the property. All the relatives from New Zealand came, They are from the Solomon Islands, the parents. And the relatives from everywhere, teachers, school kids. They put up a tent city up there, tents of all sizes and colours. And the fellow turned up with a big van with drums for all the kids to play a concert on drums and barbecues. This went on for 3 days. And this here is a carpet that is made by lepers at Derby, Pat.
Right, yeah.
And when I was regional superior, I always visited the Derby Leprosarium when I went to the Kimberleys visiting twice a year. And that was, you can see the size, you know.
Yeah, terrific.
And I gave that day, I gave that carpet to her, and their parents still got that. Beautiful. It's about that wide.
Yeah, it is.
And all made of wool by the lepers of the Leprosarium.
Wonderful.
So that was little Abby, and their parents still in contact with me to date. And a few weeks ago, they came for a visit again.
Terrific.
And so many others from Lebanon, from Vietnam, and the latest, Zimbabwe. I got the biggest lady friends ever. The black ladies from Zimbabwe. I can't go into that. They are now coming, visiting all the time and trying to do me washing and doing this and doing that. They're lovely.
Can I take a photo of you holding that so I remember the story?
So that's Abby. She was 8 years when she died. It's a lovely girl. So, yeah, that will See, Hazel actually died in this room. All of a sudden, one evening she fell unconscious. She was living with here in the place. That was her bedroom. And
we had the funeral over there, didn't we?
yeah, the funeral was over there. You were there at Casa. And she was 93 when she died. All of her very sudden.
And serving all that time, wasn't she?
Yeah, but right to the last day, she was terrific, you know. And very lovely, liked by everybody. Like when she went to the supermarket, she got to know people and whatnot. You know, she was well liked here in the...
We should have a beati, blessed. Like John Lumen with the worker he was with, he wanted her blessed to be a saint.
What was her name?
I'm just trying to think.
Yeah, I know who you mean. She was his housekeeper. Well, she was Margaret. Well, I think,
it wasn't
but she was really the one.
No, it wasn't Margaret. The one before.
No, not Margaret.
The brother was a footballer. Was it bad?
Oh, the Aborigines. Yes. Edith.
Edith
Little.
That's right.
Yes. Well, she was in charge of the girls' section at Rossmoyne all the years for the girls. And then you had the boys' section. They had boys like missionaries over there.
Yes, right.
Because the kids, all of these 100 kids, had to be taken to various schools around Perth every morning, and buses, and little buses, and so on. That was Edith Little.
Yeah.
And yeah, her brother was the first Aboriginal footballer, played for Fr Benno. I don't know who he played for one of the teams. Yes.
So Ben, just aware we've got to.
Anyway.
We're going to be visiting. Have a look at Marjorie Maria Cove.
Yeah,
and we'll see
there was a fellow who was